Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise. My Sexual Life is a place to be for education about asexuality, covering asexual education, lifestyle, entertainment, and information. So subscribe and hit the like on right now. So today or tonight, whatever time it is where you are, I'm reviewing Dune Part 2. So if you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't want spoilers, you probably don't want to watch this video. But I'm not really going to spoil it that much for you, apart from to say that I didn't like it and why I didn't like it. So I haven't seen Dune Part 1. And so that might have something to do with the reason why I didn't like Part 2. But I think I would have hated Part 1 as well. I really didn't like Dune Part 2. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not really going to tell you much about the storyline because I didn't really understand it. But I hate the film so much in a lot of the parts of it that I just had to go to the toilet and look down at the floor because I didn't like it. So it was horrible a lot of the time. And I was really not happy that I chose this movie. It's my fault, but it was one of the worst movies I could have ever chosen for myself. I do not know why this movie is a certificate 12A. I think it should be a minimum 15, but I'd probably rate it an 18 plus. It was so violent and gruesome and bloody. And I hate that type of thing in movies. And it made me really hate the movie. There was just so much bloodshed with knives and no empathy, no love a lot of the time. The only good thing really was Zendaya and Timothy. They were very, very good at acting. I would say Zendaya is even better. I liked Zendaya's character much more. That was a good thing. I thought they were very, very good at acting. Timothy did do a very good job of the role as well. But, he wasn't very nice to Zendaya's character in the end. That's not obviously Zendaya and Timothy are their real names. They got different names in the actual film. But if I'm looking at it from a media studies perspective, because I used to study media studies at college, then I would say it's definitely a film noir genre, although it's, known as a sci-fi, because film noir is very dark and brooding. And most of the footage, the video, film, if you like, is in black and white with some sepia moments. And that was pretty much how the movie was throughout. There was no bright colours in it. It was all very dark, very brooding, very black, white, and sepia colours, like very monotone colours and, like wishy-washy browns and stuff like this. And the whole film was really dark throughout it. I didn't like it. It was one of the worst movies I could have watched because at the moment I'm trying to get myself better, right? And so I decided to go out and have an evening of fun, which included get some nice night shirts for myself from Primark, Disney night shirts, taking myself out for a meal at Nando's, but getting snacks first for the cinema. And then I thought I'd watch Dune Part 2. I have to admit, it's a hyper romantic. I probably want to see the chemistry between Timothy and Zendaya on screen, and I like those two people as actor and actress. They're not called that in the movie, but that's how you know them, as the actor and actress name, right? And so, they were good in the movie, and I did like the original kind of love scenes between them in some ways, right? The romance, but it was clear that Zendaya's character was far more into Timothy's character than Timothy's character was into her. And I found that very triggering, actually, because it reminded me of my exes and especially what happens in the end. So don't watch this if you don't want spoilers, right? But in the end, it's awful. He says he loves her, but then he just turns around and wants to marry another woman for, prestige to get the throne. I thought it was absolutely disgusting, and it was very, very triggering for me. That very, very triggering. Um, because I've had that done to me in the past. I've had a guy that goes, "Oh, I really, really love you," And the next thing I know, he's saying he wants to split up with me. So I found that really triggering. And I'm trying to get my mental health back in a really good place so that I will be better in my body and heal quicker, because having lots of health problems has made my mental health state not as good as it normally is. And, I've been feeling a bit more like my birth certificate age than the young 21-year-old soul, the teenager lifestyle that I love to lead, right? So I was getting back into my 21-year mindset, my teenager lifestyle, and who I'm really born to be with all the energy I have and everything. So I was putting my mindset straight, which means I have to listen to positive affirmations, put positive things in my mind. And that's what I did. As soon as I woke up for the day, I listened to positive affirmations. I am affirmations, which is to do with love, success, and happiness, loving yourself. And I also listened to some writing affirmations and creativity affirmations, and they were all really good, positive, and made me feel great. And I thought, this is it. I need to listen to music that makes me feel good. I need to get back into whatever makes me feel good. Because in my fibromyalgia self-help handbook, it tells you the antidotes to like pain and things like that, so you can help yourself. And it also reminds me that, of what I put in my brain. And if I'm putting any negative stuff, well, which includes doing research, because I do a lot of research, and so I learn more and more, for example, about narcissism and narcissists, right? But the thing is, narcissism and narcissists are negative. And even if I'm learning about it, I'm still dealing with negative stuff. If I'm learning about relationships, healthy relationships, but also unhealthy relationships, there's a lot more focus on unhealthy relationship stuff, but you learn the red flags, right? So you try not to ever repeat those red flags yourself. But by learning all about the bad stuff, it instills in your brain that, oh, a lot of people are bad in relationships. There's a lot of unhealthy relationships. And so it actually plays on your mind. So this Dune Part 2 was playing on my mind. And if you have a sensitive personality, if you have a personality type that might get fearful, then this is a dreadful movie to watch, because it instills fear into you. One thing I talk about a lot in my fibromyalgia self-help handbook is, if you want to save yourself from pain, you need to watch what you consume. This is what you listen to, what you watch, and what what everything that goes in your senses, basically. And Dune is one of the worst things you can watch. I absolutely hated it, the majority of it. It was horrible. It was dark. It was brooding. It was violence, a lot of violence. There wasn't much hope in there, really. It was just disgusting, and I would never watch it again. I don't ever want to watch it again. It was a horrible movie. I thought, this is the worst thing. It instills fear in you, because the whole movie was based on how people manipulate others in mass. I mean, yeah, sure, if you're not awakened to how people manipulate on a global scale, including the real life governments of this world, and all the stuff on the news, and all the stuff of the pandemic, and everything like this, and everything that goes on in the news, and how they highlight, people who rape, death, murder all the time. If you don't understand that some of this is also to do with mind manipulation and control, in the sense that they filter all that bad stuff into the news, you don't hear much good stuff, and they're only giving you the bad stuff, then it's not good. And watching Dune Part 2, it fills your head full of fear. It makes you not trust people. Because if you've already got some trust issues in real life, for example, maybe you've got some difficulties or have some difficulty relationships, it kind of confirms this. And what we have to do is, we have to not confirm our negative stuff in what we consume. Because if we confirm negative stuff in what we consume, we're instilling that and programming our mind for negativity, which affects our body and gives it more pain and stress and stuff. So this is the worst film, or one of the worst films I could have watched, because I'm meant to be de-stressing and getting my mind back to a positive mental health state, which will help my body to heal quicker. I made the decision. I didn't know it was like that from the trailer. It was awful. I honestly do not know why such brutality is given a certificate 12A. I was absolutely shocked. I thought, you think 12-year-olds and under, accompanied by adults, should be watching that, with people's heads being slashed off and knives being used just like they're an everyday object, and people slaughtered? You honestly think that 12 years and under should be watching that type of shit? I was absolutely disgusted. I thought it was quite boring, a lot of it as well. I thought it was not a very good storyline. I didn't even get the storyline a lot of the time. I understand there's different types of groups kind of like against each other, and then one group is actually part of another group that they didn't realize because they were born into it, but they didn't know that at the time. But it's filled with drugs as well. I mean, they're taking poison basically to widen their mind to see visions of the future. They're creating bullshit up so that they can control people. I mean, people do get controlled in the world. There's control and manipulation, and they do target the most vulnerable people, of which there's quite a lot of asexuals in real life that are targeted, because a lot of asexuals do have mental health difficulties, have autism, special needs, depression, anxiety, some people have personality disorders, and they use the most vulnerable people in real life in society to instill fear into them. And then they go up the chain, if you like. And because if one person believes stuff and a huge crowd of people believe stuff, they're more likely to go with them. This is how heterosexuality really rules in the world, because people have been conditioned from birth to believe that is the right sexuality to be. And because heterosexuals are in the majority, most of the majority go with that, don't they? And they think that's normal. When there's someone that's saying, hey, not everyone needs sex, wants it or likes it, oh, well, there's something got to be wrong with you then. Because that's not normal. That's just weird. Because people are brainwashed to believe that heterosexuality is normal for everyone, that everyone wants sex and likes it. And there's something biologically or mentally wrong with you if you don't. Right? Everything is control and manipulation a lot of the time, but you've got to decide what you want to allow people to condition you over, right? But the film is awful. I would not watch it again. I'm glad I didn't see part one. They've left it open for a part three. I thought, I'm not sitting through that again. I went to the toilet during summer. And I was going to the toilet going, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I had to look down at the floor because I can't stand the brutality. And I've got a problem with eyes. I've had a phobia of eyes, and they had these like weird blue starry eyes and horrible eyes throughout a lot of it. It was horrible. I don't like it. The brutality is just disgusting. And it basically breeds, instills fear and makes you hyper vigilant, by instilling all these things that you can't trust anyone. The whole movie's based on the fact of control manipulation, that you can't really trust anyone. And you can fall in love with someone that they just become untrustworthy and betray you, and so it's really bad for the mind. It's so negative. From a stylistic cinematography point of view, if you like, you could argue the cinematography was good in the sense of a film noir genre. You probably don't know what I'm talking about unless you study media studies or study film genres. But like I said, it's really a film noir because it's very dark, very brooding. The way they've used the camera angles, the way they've used the colouring, which is very low and dense, and you could say the special effects were great, but I mean, I prefer to see proper action movies. I think other action movies I've seen, even with Tom Cruise and stuff, has got a lot better special effects than that in it, a lot better real stunts in it, you know what I mean? I just, I prefer superhero movies, to be honest. I didn't see anything that was positive really about the film, apart from the fact they had two really good main actors in it. They've also got an actor or actress, should I say, who was in The Greatest Showman. They've got that person in there as well. But that acting was quite good, but I just don't like the brutality. It was awful. And if you're a person who does experiences difficulties in life, mental health difficulties, and you have trouble trusting people as it is, once you watch that movie, it makes you feel you can't trust anyone. You can't trust anyone you love. You can't trust anyone who you think you can rely on. It just becomes a breeding ground for distrusting people, because it does show how people become manipulated and controlled on a mass scale, and how it's done. I mean, there is a lot of psychology used in the movie. If you're into psychology in that way, you might think it's a good movie in the sense that, it shows how people are manipulated and brainwashed to follow someone that doesn't even have a right to be there a lot of the time. They've just wormed their way into a situation and got to the state where they are. I mean, they even say that the prophecy's not even true, but because people believe in this prophecy because someone's told them and that's how they control them. You can control someone for years by believing things are going to change. I mean, this happens in actual narcissistic relationships in real life. I thought years ago when I was with a narcissistic abuser, I didn't realize it was narcissistic at the time because I didn't know about narcissism. In real life, when I stayed with him, I always believed that things were going to change, and they never did. And so I stayed with him based on how I thought he was at the beginning with me and felt he was caring at the beginning, because I believed he would change back to being that good guy I thought he was, and he didn't. And the film basically shows that you can control people by giving them a hope that they might get something. It's like the lottery in real life, right? You buy a lottery ticket. I don't bother, because I'm in control of my life, not the flaming lottery, right? But people do the lottery in the hope that they might win. It gives them hope, so they carry on, they get addicted to it, and then they keep playing it, right? Because why are you putting your happiness in someone else's hands? And you know what I mean? And so learn the lesson, which I've learned, is you can't stay with someone or stay in a situation hoping something will happen. Even in Wish, the children's animation Wish, the whole point of that movie is that the guy is the evil guy is keeping people's wishes in like these baubles. And he's not actually going to make many of them come true. And all people doing is giving their wishes to him to keep safe in the hope they'll come true. So they spend their whole life till they die hoping it's going to come true. And they're giving their personal power away to someone else. And so the movie was all about control, manipulation, giving your power over to someone else. It was all the most toxic themes, if you like. It was like sexual control as well. There's implied sex in it, so that this woman has sex with this guy so she can still keep the bloodline going to the throne, and in the end that's who Timothy's character decides he wants to marry over the fact he's meant to love Zendaya's character. It really sucked. I just hated all the bloodshed. I thought it was just terrible movie. I mean, it's quite boring as well. They just do the same thing over and over again. There's not much difference. You know what I mean? They just keep putting these things in the desert, pump, 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 and then they get the, worms come up or whatever. And I just found it boring. It's the same repetitive thing with just a few variations. I'm like, for the whole movie, surely this cannot be going on. This is just so boring. And obviously some people are really into it because I've seen the first one and I've got hooked on it. But I don't like, I like superhero movies, for example, but I don't like Deadpool either because I find that too violent. But this was just hideous. In the very beginning of the movie, one of the bad guys, he's just literally smashing someone's head in. I heard the noises, but I looked away. I couldn't stand it, and I think in part of the baddies part, where they live, a lot of the women are treated really badly, and it's just disgusting. They're like sex objects, basically, and they just use them. It's horrible. I just hated it. I don't have much good to say about it. I thought it was boring a lot of the time. I thought, the colours are really boring. I mean, then it's film noir, so it's good for that genre, but it doesn't say it's film noir, and I just didn't like the whole instill fear, control, manipulation, violence. If you want to program your mind in real life for death and destruction, go and watch that movie 10 times over or more. Fill your head with loads of shit. Dark stuff. That's how you program your mind for darkness in real life, by watching films like that. Absolutely horrendous. You can program your mind for success and happiness, or you can program your mind for death and destruction and fear and doom and gloom. If you want to go and fill your boots with death, destruction, fear, go and watch that movie. Coercion, control, manipulation, and how to do it. It's a prime example, isn't it? But I personally don't want that in my life. I'm like, "I can't believe you watched this." I felt like walking out, but I'm like, "You've paid for the movie, Sandra." I'm like, "Surely it can't be like this all the way through the movie." And it got, like, worse in the sense that it was just more slaughtering going on. You know, this guy was put in a ring with these other people, and it was just like I couldn't even watch it. I had to turn my away a lot of the time. I thought this is so disturbing for my mind. This is like film I definitely would never watch if I knew what it was like. I don't think it was like that at all from the trailer. I didn't get that at all. So yeah, I personally wouldn't recommend this movie unless you really want to program your mind for bad, negativity, dark stuff. You know, I wouldn't even go there, you know. And I definitely do not think it's suitable for children 12 years and under accompanied by an adult. It's a certificate 12A. I think at minimum it should be 15 years old, but ideally it should be 18. There's no way it shouldn't be at least 15. I don't know what's going on. Why is it certificate 12A? I don't even understand that. I don't understand how they classify as at 12A. It's so gory and bloody. It's just bloodshed all the time. It's just doing the same thing over and over again for power, manipulation, and control. Revenge is a huge theme in it as well. You know, it's awful. You know, I think most people, if they're if they're fans of Timothy and Zendaya, the actor and actress, then they'll probably go and watch it. And I guess that's why I went to see it, mostly because I like those two the actor and actress. But, you know, they were good in it, but that's the only thing. As a hyper romantic, the kissing scene was good. I'm like, Sandra, I think you just came to watch the movie for the kissing scene and that was it, because there wasn't anything else you liked. I mean, what else did you like? You could argue that some of the special effects were good, but I've seen much better films with much better special effects that don't have all this darkness all the time. I mean, what hope is there in it, a movie? I don't think there's that much, to be honest. It was all doom and gloom, you know? There's supposed to be hope that the people will be freed, but they're still not really free at the end at all. They're trapped, really. Ruled by someone who's I don't know what the hell's going on with him. I just didn't like it. The fact they were having drugs basically to manipulate their mind and to hallucinate into the future or whatever, I just thought this is full of violence, murder, death, manipulation, control. I mean, how many negative things can you get in there? I wasn't even sure if some of the girls were raped or they were just slashed, because I didn't watch some bits. Like, you could hear them being cut or whatever. You could hear them going, "Ah," like that in behind doors, you know? So I don't know if the implication was they were raped and then they were slashed or what. I just didn't like it. But like I said, one of the women, she got pregnant on purpose to keep the bloodline going. And she used sexual manipulation with the guy, which the guy was horrendous. He was like a complete animal. It was disgusting. It's like watching a Hannibal Lecter film. I've seen a little bit of that years ago, but oh my God, a tiny little bit. I just hated the whole thing, really. I couldn't wait to leave. But I did stay till the end credits because I thought I do movie reviews. I sort of stay to the very end credits just to see if there's anything on there. A lot of it's filmed in Abu Dhabi. That was interesting. And there was a lot of special effects and there was good music composers there. I think Hans Zimmer, is it? But I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. So I am very much not recommending this movie. I know that'll be completely contrast to what most people will say, but think about it. Do you want to program your mind for badness, fear, darkness in your life? Do you want to be depressed? Do you want to actually help yourself to be depressed? Because if you do, go and watch that movie. Because literally it programs your mind for death, destruction, and all doom and gloom, bad things. I hated a lot of it. Ugh. So yeah, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend going to the cinema to see it. I don't recommend seeing it when it comes out. I don't recommend wasting your time. And I don't recommend filling your mind with all that negative stuff. I didn't like the poison they were drinking. I don't think that's good to show kids it's okay to drink blue poisonous liquid. Do you know what I mean? To kids that are like 12 years and under. It's just disgusting to me. Basically it's hallucinogenic stuff. You know what I mean? You know, like, why is that okay? It's drugs, basically. And the guy, one of the really bad guy, he's there smoking a pipe full of drugs as well. It's just so dark. It's a life I definitely don't want to be a part of. It's very scary, you know. It does breed distrust in people watching that type of movie. So yeah, I know there's probably going to be a lot of people that like this movie, but I personally hated it. And definitely, in my opinion, do not see it, because it's really not worth it. And actually, it's very damaging for the mind. Very damaging. So anyway, that's my movie review. You can let me know what you think, which I know will probably be different to what I think, but please heed all my warnings about this movie, about what you're actually putting in your brain and what you're conditioning your brain for. Death, murder, violence, drugs, destruction, doom, gloom, darkness, no hope, no light, basically. The ending was like crap, in my opinion, as well. The only good thing was Zendaya's character still remaining strong after she'd been betrayed. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you now. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon, give this video a thumbs up if you like a difference of opinion to the majority of the people out there who liked it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more entertainment videos, information, education, and lifestyle. See you soon on the next video live stream. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.